Hello, hello, hello. This is 52 Weeks Live, and I'm 52 Weeks of Design Live, and I am Alexa Hampton. I'm just typing in an invitation for Elizabeth Schwartz. Hi!
Hi.
Yay! How are you?
Good. How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big month.
Yeah, big month. We're busy.
Yay! BWH.
Yes, yeah. It's
Everything looks amazing.
oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
actually annoying. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I use my outside voice?
Yeah. No, we're really excited. You know, it's been 2 years in the works, and working on it remotely and not traveling to see the product, because of the pandemic. And it's amazing what Bunny has done. This has been a dream of hers to have an indoor kind of wicker line. And the response we're getting is great,
Yeah, it looks fantastic. But before we get into Treillage by Bunny, I need to know your entire life story. That's not a problem, right?
No, of course not. So I went to school at the University of Richmond in Virginia, and I got really into photography while I was there. Thought I was going to be a photographer. Came home to Wilmington, Delaware, where I grew up, taught photography to high school kids for a year, and said, yeah. So, and I said, oh, I think I'm a little too young to be doing this, because it's where I had gone to high school, and they were all like, oh, we remember who you were. And I was like, okay, maybe. And then I said, I don't think I loved photography, but I didn't love like the real technical aspects of it, all the digital and all those things. I like to be in the dark room and, work with real film.
And so, everything was digital at this point, yeah?
Everything was really going that way. Yes, more so. And so I remember I had a long, heart to heart with my mom one night, and she said, well, what do you love to do? And I was like, well, I do love, doing my room and doing my, doing interior design. And so I took a little class in Delaware.
Did she have any interest in it? Like how did you get to doing your room?
Yes, definitely. She grew up, I grew up with her, dragging us through, houses in the British English countryside, and giving my sister and I what we love to call the linen lectures about how you have to have fine linens. Yes, and how you have to set your table. And so, at the time, and, being dragged to antique stores, and at the time being like, I'm a kid, I want to be outside. But it was just ingrained in me. She did our houses. She's an artist. So it just was naturally, it came naturally. Yeah. So, and then I moved to New York to go to New York School of Interior Design. And
so she said, when you were like, okay, Mother, I need help figuring this out, and you said that, she said, next steps, go to school for this.
Yeah, she was like, why don't you take a class? So I took a class in Delaware, loved it, was thriving. And I was like, wow, during school, I never knew that there was something that I would be good at and really enjoy and thrive at. This was like something totally new to me. I mean, the photography had been a passion, but this was just beyond anything else.
I think all of the arts that we all love or are good at make some sense, even if it's art history. Makes it, or especially if it's art history, makes a huge is a huge benefit to the career.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, and I came to New York, and after my first year at New York School of Interior Design, I said, well, I need to get an internship. And I sent out resumes to a bunch of places. And my mom, again, said, well, why don't you send it to Bunny Williams? And I said, Mom, Bunny does not have interns. I mean, And she was like,
Bunny has
yes,
small princesses and princes.
yeah. And she said, I'm sure she does. So I sent my resume. They were the first people to call me, offered me a summer internship. And so I interned here through the summer and then through the fall and then through another summer. And then I went and worked somewhere else. And then she called me back and I've been here ever since, really.
That's just so nice.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, like the continuity, the institutional memory of having worked together for so long, and what. So obviously, you are a partner.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? At what point were you like, okay, this is what I want to do? I mean, what was that? How did that conversation go?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I'd really worked my way up through kind of all the roles here,
Which
which
is
I
the
think
way
is
to,
important,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And so I was kind of getting to a point in my career to think, well, what am I doing? Am I staying here? Am I going to do my own thing? And Bunny and I had that conversation. And Bunny, one of the amazing things about Bunny is she thinks so modernly. She's always thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And so she said she had been thinking about this. She had been thinking, it was something I didn't really ever think was a possibility, but she had been thinking about, where does her career, where does her firm go? And wanting it to have that longevity. And so she said, I think we should do this partnership. And I almost fell out of my chair and said, okay. And as my father in business has always told me, you always say, let me think about this for a minute. Meanwhile, I'm like, so I said, I need to think about it. So yeah, I thought about it for a day and then we, had a deeper conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a better. I mean, going out on one's own, allegedly, since I've never done it in the proper fashion, must just be such a road to hoe. I mean, I'm sure it was in any case, but getting to do what you did
Right.
with comes the dog. He's gonna jump on me. He's very excited when he comes home from walk. Um, I don't know. I just think that transition and the idea of that legacy and the friendship um, must be wonderful.
It is, and I've learned so much from Bunny. I'm so grateful for everything she's taught me. Interior design mom, she, in so many ways, I feel. So it's a special relationship.
So, what are your favorite parts of the job? Where are you right now
Well,
in
so
your trajectory?
well, there's a lot of favorite parts of the job. I love working with people. That was like one of the things that really drove me to this career. And I love all the different people. I mean, I love the clients to the vendors to the, people in the office. And I love all those interactions. So, all of that's really important to me. And it's really important to me that feels good. I always say around here, I say, it's not always going to be perfect, but it should be pleasant. I spend more of my time here than I do at home, so with my family or my friends, with my husband. So this should be good. And I really want everyone to feel that way. So that's a big part of my job, I feel, on a daily basis. But, how lucky are we that we get to do what we do,
Yeah.
and come and work with beautiful things every day. And, and the clients that, give us those opportunities.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful attitude. I mean, because you can get lost in the daily agita and forget to have fun, and fun should be a requirement because it's
Yeah,
always going to produce the best work.
exactly. And I can remember in the beginning of my career, I'd get really upset when something went wrong because, every day it's like, what's the thing, you walk in going, what today is going to go wrong? What is the thing I have to fix? And I get really upset. I get sensitive about it. And now I thrive more on the, okay, how are we going to fix this?
Right, the puzzle.
Yeah.
What does your house look like?
I would say my house is similar to what we do. It's a mix of traditional, some modern things. It's a constant work in progress. I'm getting ready to kind of finish it up and tighten it up, but I find it's harder to do it for myself because I
Of
see so many
course.
things, right? Okay, good. Glad
Of
I'm not
course.
the
I
only
mean, do
one.
you walk around the office being like, is this good? Am I crazy? Because I do that. I'm like, this
Oh,
is cool. Or is it terrible? Like, what do
yeah.
I do?
I know. Well, and that's why it's also so great to have great people that you work with and have that collaboration.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, so.
How big is the team right now?
So we have 2 design teams. There's about 3 people, and then we have some other people that are kind of floaters between the teams. And we're about 17 in the office with our accounting department and other
That's a
people.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good support structure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, wait, I want to know more about your apartment. Or do you live in a house or an apartment?
We live in an apartment. We have 2-bedroom apartment. We I moved. I used to live across the avenue and moved just across the avenue. And I'm a kind of a creature of habit. I love the Upper East Side because I can walk to work.
Yeah.
It's huge, and yeah, and the thing I love about my apartment is it's both east and west facing, and we get a cross breeze, and we get a good view of the sunrise and the sunset, and
And what's the palette?
So the palette is somewhat a little bit more neutrals with blues in my living room.
What kind of blues?
My kind of pale blues.
Huh?
Yeah. I have a little bit of some chintz, some floral in there. And
Which
then
is almost an act of radicalism at this point,
I think
right?
so.
Like,
I think
you're a
so.
radical.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. My husband's so wonderful because he just goes with whatever I say, but I can tell when he's like, huh, okay, yeah, different. uh, but and then our bedroom is a vibrant kind of melony peachy orange color. And we have a canopy bed, and I remember we didn't have the canopy bed, and then we got the canopy bed, and that was my husband got up one night and almost ran into the side of the post. So there was some, getting used to that.
Adjustments were
Yeah.
made.
Uh-huh.
How does he feel about the canopy?
He likes it. He likes it. Yeah.
I think I really, really believe that even though some people will have like, you know, think it's old fashioned or you're just like, what? A canopy bed? I just think they're heaven.
Yeah. I do
Um,
too.
I love them. Do you have the curtains at the foot?
I do not. Um,
I do
I do
not
not.
either because of the television.
We don't have a television in the
Well,
room.
you're amazing. In the whole apartment?
We have one. No, we have one in the living room, but we don't have one in the bedroom.
Okay. And do you have children?
No.
Okay, because there's a whole breastfeeding thing. That's how the TV made it.
Right.
And then I just couldn't let it go after that.
I'm
It's
sure.
terrible. Um, so so melon and pale blue and what kind of if you have antiques, which I'm sure you have some like vintage antique stuff, where are they situated in the timeline?
So they are a beautiful Semenier chest of drawers in the bedroom, which is all for me, houses all of my costume jewelry and handbags. My husband's like, what is this and what's in there? And I'm like, no need to
Hands
know.
off.
Yeah. I mean, he does get the short end of the stick when it comes to the storage, but we won't tell him that. And hopefully he's not. Hopefully he's working and not watching. So,
Okay.
and then I have some beautiful antique side tables.
Are they French? Are they English? What are they?
There's a French one. I'm looking for something for our bar, and I've been on the
Like a
hunt
really
for that,
heavy
but
table or like a cabinet?
like a cabinet. But we need a lot of storage. There's a big whiskey collection, so
All right.
yeah.
It's like I see your whiskey and I raise you a Semanier.
Okay.
Like, oh, cool. Well, love that.
Yeah.
Is this your forever apartment?
I don't think so.
How long have you lived?
It's we've now lived there 3 years.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're never going to be finished.
No, no, no.
I
It's early
think you're
stages.
picking it up right now, but you've got like years and years to fiddle with it, and then
Yeah,
inevitably, just when you have it where you want it, you'll move.
exactly.
What are some of the big projects you're? Wait, hold on first. Okay, so you said that your apartment is done in, as one would assume, in the manner in which we associate with Bunny Williams Interiors.
Mhm.
Um, but is there? I would assume there's an added layer because it's your own.
Yes.
And how does it? What's different about it?
Boy. Um,
Like in my apartment, my colors are different.
yeah.
It's it's as you would imagine I would
Right.
do, but like the colors are more insane. Did you like throw the reins off in any particular area?
Um, I think maybe with my furniture plan a little bit. We've got a big sectional in our living room, which is, more for because we like to have people over and we wanted, and it was a long room and it really fit. We do sectionals a lot in more of a family room and, and I sometimes think if Bunny had done my living room, it would not have a sectional.
Yeah.
Um,
I think as an industry we have to come up with a new word for the sectional. I
oh,
think
yes.
the name, it's just not, well, it's not at all sexy, and it's definitely not sexy enough. Like it sounds bad, but it's such a great piece of furniture.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to task you with that. I think you
Oh
could
no, I
figure
think it's
that
going
out.
to be a group effort. I think
Okay.
we should accept admissions for ideas.
Okay. I like that. We could vote.
Yeah, we can vote. So it's a little more modern in terms of how the use. Obviously, we're New York dwellers, so we've got to like use every little
Yes.
last inch of space if we want to,
Yes.
live the way we want to live.
Right.
How much are you traveling these days for work? Have you had a pandemic geographical
Yeah.
shift, or it's just the same?
I think what has changed is that we're traveling, but not as much. So there's so many more things that can be done over Zoom, over, an email photo. There's not as many more requests for site visits.
Yeah.
I think everyone's realized that, yes, you need to go and do those, and they're very important. Um, but, it's not as necessary because you can, FaceTime a client, an architect, or Zoom. And, it was one of the things when we kind of came back after the pandemic, I looked at Bunny and I said, I did not miss getting up at, 4 a.m. to get to JFK at 5 a.m. for a 6 a.m. or LaGuardia for a 6 a.m. flight. I mean, it's nice that we don't have to do as many of those, I would
Yeah.
say.
What do you feel about the right before the pandemic? I felt that the weekly meetings were going crazy. Like everybody had decided they wanted a weekly meeting,
Yeah.
and it felt over the top to me because sometimes you simply need to be doing the work instead of talking about the work that you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think that's a big problem because, there's so many times I'm like, I just need to be in the office getting this done rather than running around.
or
We have
talking
to do
about
the work. Yeah.
it. So I think the pandemic has kind of chilled that out too.
Yeah. Isn't that good?
I
Cool.
think so. I think having to wait a little for things too is not a bad lesson to learn. I was just talking about this last night with some designers. Like we got so spoiled with everything just rolling so fast that it's almost unsustainable.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can't. Furniture doesn't take 2 weeks. It
No.
takes 12
Yeah.
minimum.
Yeah. And now it's taking more, but
And now it takes
I think
12
you're
now.
right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think it's a good lesson in patience for everyone.
Yeah, like a bit of a
Yeah.
course correction.
Right.
Uh, I keep threatening to quit the job and become a stevedore because it seems like they need as much help as they can get, like unloading ships and going
Yes.
to customs. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're learning our lesson.
Yes.
Um, where are some of the projects that you're working on right now?
A couple few in the city, one in Tampa, um, yep, one in Little Rock, one in we've got some Palm Beach. Always
Yeah.
got some Palm Beach in there.
Do you find
Um,
that I think Florida is the last level of like day trip. I think
yes,
if you go past that, it's an overnight.
yes, yes. You can do Florida in a day. We had a project we did in Ohio once, and we would do that in a day. The only thing is the flight was always getting delayed on the return. So, but yeah, there's very few anymore that I think you can do in a day.
Um, I have felt in the past decade that probably because of magazines, or maybe, yeah, 15 years, that regional went away. But now I feel it creeping back in. And not in an
Mm-hmm.
unpleasant way, but in kind of a, let's tip our hats to where our houses are.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah, I
you,
would definitely.
you, like anchor the setting of your design?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that definitely, and I think um, I mean, I think it's fun to travel and go to San Francisco for a job and
Yeah.
Texas for a job and things, but um, there is something about the Northeast as well and having uh, that regional work that's closer.
Yeah. And also, no, but like regional identity.
Yes,
Like
yes,
when
right.
Miranda moved out of New York, I felt that was a very telling moment.
Yes.
That things were, perhaps things had become too homogenous and needed to break apart and become special. Um,
Yeah. I like that idea of break apart and become special. Yes. I think that's
yeah, because you can get in a flow, and then the flow needs to stop.
mhm.
Like you don't want everything looking all the same. Um,
Right.
uh, do you love working on product?
I do like working on the product. It's a newer thing for me to be involved in that part side of the business. But there's such a great team there, and I mean, we're just so lucky to work with so many great people who are passionate about it, and that's what's really fun for me to see.
Do
And
you
I
go
mean,
around and find things like? Do you now look at things differently? Because I like you see a table and you're like, that is such a great table. It has to be part of the line. Um,
definitely, definitely, and especially like lighting, because I think sometimes it's like so hard to find a semi-flush light fixture that um, sits close to the ceiling but hangs a little bit, and there's certain things I know I'm always looking for as a designer that I'm like, we need to incorporate these things.
and those
No,
those ideas that address your own experience of need are always the most successful, right?
exactly, yeah. And I mean, that's why really Bunny started the furniture line, because she couldn't find enough drinks tables. I mean, it started almost as a drinks table line because she was running out of options for houses.
I love that you
So
call them tables. Just like it's very telling if somebody calls it a coffee table or a cocktail table. I've spent my whole life calling it a coffee table, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, it should be a cocktail table.
yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
I think you guys have also done a beautiful job of designing things that are useful, but still are hugely editorial.
Are usually
They're
sorry.
editorial.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They all have, there's a lot of look.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember when Bunny started the furniture line, and, I was just a designer here, and it was all like the word, she was just so concerned about the quality being good. She wanted it to be something that she could put in her own home, and there were a lot of people who were, saying, well, you could do this in a different way and, change the quality, but she really wanted the quality to be good. And she really wanted the pieces to be unique and also to be able to mix them together.
Yeah.
So.
Is as you work on that side of the business more, in the future, I'm sure you would say the same thing, right? You want to be able to, if it's good enough for you, will be the cutoff.
Definitely. And I have, numerous pieces in my own apartment.
Which one?
And I have the star chair. I have the bottoms up drinks table. And and I have the Hamilton side table.
Which one is the Hamilton?
It's the one with it has like a column leg. It comes in a
Does
brown
it roll at the bottom?
No, it's straight. It's a little more straight and has a shelf.
Okay. I mean, I use your stuff all the time, so.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know the names of, and I apologize if they're watching, the names of my furniture, because after a point it's just so confusing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm like, maybe we got rid of the Hamilton side table, but I'm, that's the other thing is always like, we have these discussions about what we're going to, keep and,
So yeah, talk to me about that. It's so different, my experience, because I'm not manufacturing it.
Right.
But obviously, if something isn't performing the way you want it to, like when do you know we should stop and bring a new thing into the line that will flourish, versus no, we got to hang on a little longer and let this take because it's got potential.
Right. So
like,
that was really.
Or...
Well, no, it's a lot of analysis, really. It's that was really interesting the first time I sat in on a meeting like that, where they showed, the team had put together, these are our best sellers, this is what does really well, this is not doing so well, and you start to look at that, and sometimes you go, well, but I have an emotional attachment to that thing that's not doing so well, and you have to separate that and say, okay, well, maybe it's time that is retired. And then sometimes we say, well, this has been doing well, but not as well recently. Maybe people aren't as aware of it anymore. So then we do a little bit more of a push to see, if we can get it back up there. And if we can't, then we make that decision to move on, because you've got to keep it fresh.
Totally, totally logical. But I've spoken to friends about this in the past. I sometimes don't. When I look at the data, I could argue that it could mean many things.
True.
Like, or that desire to have something that you love, that you have that emotional connection to do well. And if it's not doing well, I'm always like, well, is that like Seinfeld? How all of the TV stations didn't want Seinfeld, but finally they were given like 4 episodes, but it took a few years to catch on. It's
right.
It's sort of brutal having to, decision making on any level.
Yeah. You go, maybe it hasn't had its big moment yet, and it just, it needs something else. But yeah, it is tough. And you can look at the numbers, but beyond that, there's not a real exacting science to it. So,
what do you think the next 5-10 years are going to be like for you? What are your hopes and dreams?
Well, I would love to, I love doing the projects with the clients, the design. I think that really.
That's your day job.
And that's the thing that I love, and it keeps me going. But I also, I really want to, support the team and have Bunny Williams Home grow. I think it's so wonderful what's happened with this new line. I think it looks great.
So let's talk about the new line. So the new line is Tray-yaj by Bunny.
Right.
Tell us more.
So it is a mix of indoor, outdoor furniture. There's a wicker line that cannot be outdoor, it's indoor. And then there's some really beautiful teak pieces that can be outdoor. And, it's really based on things that Bunny has loved and used in her infamous gardens over the years. And that she, used to, things she would have bought for her store that she had with John Treillage. And so, I remember it was so funny leading up to this whole event. I started going through all my old photos and was pulling all these old photos I'd taken, when shopping at Treillage or at a Treillage party. And for people who have been there during that time, there's such a feeling. And I think, to walk in and see this whole collection, it really evokes that feeling. It evokes that feeling of quality outdoor, indoor furniture that has a longevity to it. There's a style to it that's really great.
I love the wicker also for the texture it brings. It's such a great dissonant note in a room that is so chic and like unexpected and really packs a lot.
Yeah. And I think it's, we're so excited because this is a line under the line that's going to keep growing and be added to. And, and that's exciting to think about what are those pieces? What's going to come next? And complement that.
The structure? It's Bunny Williams' home is the
furniture and the license furniture and licensed lines. Yep.
And then
there's Bunny Williams Interior Design, which is just our interior design.
But the Treillage is a subset of Bunny Williams' home.
So yes, it's in Bunny Williams' home. It's just a new line within Bunny Williams' home.
And will there be other smaller lines under that umbrella?
Maybe. But I don't think under that Treillage umbrella necessarily, but
no,
right, yes, but
own name, I mean.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Treillage for decorators, like we all think, of Bunny's shop.
Yes.
It has a brand. It's a brand already. It was baked in the cake brand.
Exactly. And we're looking at that. We're thinking about that. We're thinking about, a line that's maybe, not at a slightly different price point, and maybe more accessible to a different kind of client. And so those are all really fun things to explore and look at. And hopefully, we can keep doing more of that.
Yeah. I think it's also fun when your day job is design to have this thing when you need a break from decorating, and you can think about these other things that are totally related, but they're a different part of your business brain.
Yeah. And it's, in a way, it's so funny because it's two different client relationships, right? When you're doing the homes, there's a very personal one-on-one. And then when you're doing the product, there's this kind of greater person out there, who's buying this and this whole collective group and that you talk about and you kind of have a relationship with, people who buy it, but it's this greater group and you think about them in a little bit of a different way. And so it's nice to have those two parts.
That variety. Do you love gardening the way that Bunny does?
So I grew up doing some gardening, but I do not have the green thumb that Bunny has, and I do not currently have a place to garden. But I mean, every time I go to her garden, I'm just blown away.
I have a black thumb, so I'm so impressed by people who have the skill and the patience and the vision.
Yeah, we have a few plants that we're working to keep alive. So, but I saw Bunny one Monday and I said, "How was your weekend?" And she said, "Well, I was in my garden and it's her place, it's her Zen place." And she was just like, I was potting, I was repotting things and you can just tell it just, we each have something, right, that kind of brings us back to our setting and that we reset on the weekends, and that's her thing. So.
Do you still take tons of photographs? Or are you still doing photography?
Yes.
What's your subject matter?
Kind of everything. I really do love taking pictures of everything. I take a lot of walks. I love to walk. I take a lot of walks. And so I often take photos when I'm walking. So there's a lot of nature, landscape kind of things. But this past weekend, I was with my three little nieces, and oh my gosh, they're like all my nieces and nephews are like my favorite subject matter. And, so I also really love taking pictures of people.
Yeah.
I kind of think of myself as I capture all the memories in the family, and
There has
so
to be
that's
a
really fun.
chronicler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I take pictures of all the buildings we've all seen.
Okay.
Like, and the dog and some of the kids, but it's really the buildings that we've passed or the museums we've gone to. The kids are
That's
like, why
cool.
are there people in these pictures? I'm like, but there needs to be that chronicler. Would you ever do you have any of your work in your house, like as artwork?
I do. I have two things. Yes.
Um, I mean, that would be such a cool thing to have as well for, I mean, not again to change your day job, but to
Right.
add to Bunny Williams. You remember when Bunny came out with the assortment for pucker? I found that really
Hmm.
cool and interesting, and there's no shortage of need for
That's true.
varied kinds of artwork, and there has to be like a a constant, like the market needs that constant development of it too, because you want
Hmm.
everyone to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. I take a lot of my photos with my iPhone because that's usually what's with me. So I would have to, I've been thinking often about upgrading to something that I could carry with me uh, a little bit more and, have a little bit more high resolution.
What are the limitations though of the iPhone? Can't we do that?
We can. There are a few resolution things. Like I took this one photograph during the pandemic. We were living in the country at my brother's house, and I was taking photos of like these dead dandelions, and it's like one of my favorite
That's an
photos. But
expression of your pandemic heart. You're like, oh, you're the dead
yeah,
lions.
but Alexa, they're so beautiful, this photo. So I wanted to like blow it up, and there was only so far I could really blow it up because of the resolution on it. So I've been thinking, now that I've gotten to that predicament, I think I need to get a little bit of a better camera. And
Yeah. Um, yeah. What number iPhone do you have too?
I don't have the most recent one, but I have the next ones. The camera's pretty good.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I do have that. Like,
yeah.
but mine is like the size of a toaster. It's like me and my toaster. Um, yeah. Do you guys do rugs?
So we do rugs with Dash and Albert
I did know that.
license.
Of course.
Yeah.
We need more rugs from you guys.
Yeah.
Says can tell you
Okay.
to do
Okay.
it. I'll come up with the name for a sectional if you can come up with more rugs, please.
Okay. Perfect deal.
Um, what can I ask you? What do you? I find the more I design product for the world, the more specific and artisanal my surroundings get, because you want that something that can only belong to you.
Interesting.
Do you feel that way, or is it still like with your clients where you're doing all of that? I mean,
Um,
obviously, you're doing special things for your clients that nobody else has. But do you
right.
ever want that thing that like even your clients don't have, or wouldn't be crazy enough to do?
Yes, I'm sure I do. I'm sure there are things I probably can't pinpoint one thing at the moment. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I also don't want, a client, like if they ever saw something of mine to feel like I, done it for them or copied it from what I'd done for them. But yeah, I'd have to think about that.
I frequently retire big pattern fabrics unless it's like La Portuguese and there's no retiring it.
Right.
Like but there's some that are so specific, it's like you can't use them on two different. house.
That's true. That is very true. There's some things that are very specific. And there's sometimes you create, we'll do a custom piece of furniture and you're like, this is amazing. And if it gets photographed, like, other people are going to want it, but we're
But they
going to
can't
have
have
to,
it.
they can't have it. No.
Um, when are you going to come out with a book?
Oh, I don't know.
I know
I don't
you're like,
know.
what?
I know. I guess that's the next thing,
That is the
um,
next.
but that's a big thing, right? Like that's a lot of work from what I've seen.
Yeah, but it's the work that needs to be done more
Exactly.
than the work of the doing of the book.
Right.
And you must have tons of projects that. Do you photograph all your work?
We photograph most of it. I feel like we're a little behind. We're trying to get some things photographed just because of the pandemic. I think
Yeah.
slowed all that down. You must have found that too with, you know, clients maybe not wanting a group of photographers and people.
Or some never. Some
Yeah,
never
that's
want
true.
to be photographed.
Yeah.
At what? How far after the install do you photograph? Like, is it ready to photograph right at the install, or do you still need some seasoning?
I think each client's a little different. Sometimes it's ready. Sometimes the client is totally on board, right, with all the stuff and the accessories and the art. And then sometimes it's really, you want to make sure they have some art on the walls and they take a little more time to
Yeah.
find some of that and agree to some of that. So I think it really depends. And then, other times I feel like we've moved a client into their home and the landscaping isn't really fully filled out yet. So you want
Yeah.
to wait for that. So I don't think we do anything like right away. It's usually, maybe 6 months to a year after.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
How do you encourage um, that last layer that is totally necessary?
Right. Well, I think that's one of the hardest things, right? It's first of all, we always do a punch list. We go through the house, we do a punch list, say what we need. And then there's two things here. You have to be really good about finding it. The project's somewhat done and you have to really stick to it and work on that punch list. And the client has to be engaged. But really, you have to drive that and keep that engagement because they're a little tired, usually at
That
that
was
point.
my next question. Do you find like fatigue? And it's also
Yeah,
shopping fatigue, and it's also like, Alexa, get out of my house fatigue.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of that. It's like, and I think that fatigue is real on both sides, both our side and their side. And so it really depends. It depends how on board the client is. But it was interesting. I had a client one time say to me that we did this house for her. It was beautiful. And at the installation, she was very happy. And she said, but the good thing was, she goes, you have to play ball. She goes, I would hit the ball to you, you would hit it back like tennis. And she's like, and you have to just keep doing that. And she said, and we did that. And I thought, wow, that's kind of the perfect analogy.
That is, and
Right?
it reminds you that like there's no static stop point. It's
Mm-hmm.
keep the ball rolling until
Yeah, keep it in the air, volley back and forth.
no more sports metaphors. But I get that one. That one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I feel like this is something I would love. I would love to do myself. I would love to see you guys do it. And it was so great at Rosselli. Um, the accessories world is just dried.
Right? Yeah. We're really
I'm
trying hard with the new showroom to put in one of a kind things, and things that people can come in and carry away with them.
Yeah.
I think that's an important way to get people back into shops. And I think we need shops. And yeah, I think the accessories world it's tough. It's harder and harder.
You want to have it for the shop so that people can come in and take it away, but like we need it for our work.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And
we need a lot because not
we,
everybody, we don't want to use the same thing multiple times.
yep. Yeah, no, it's very true. You need new, unique things. And that's something Bunny talks about all the time. We've talked about, having some of that stuff. It's hard because there's limited space and we want to show the furniture line, but
Yeah.
also I think it really paints the right picture to have those things mixed in with the new stuff, have the one of a kind mixed in with, the table we make and the sofa we make, because that shows this is really how you would live with it.
Yeah, and it's a soul.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I totally agree. Do you do shopping trips ever?
Yes, we haven't in a while.
Do you do them on your own or do you go with a client?
I've done both. More so on my own now, because I just think the pandemic, has changed so many things. Years ago, I went on a great shopping trip with Bunny and a client to Belgium, and it was awesome. I mean, it was, we went into these places where it was just stuff piled on top of each other, and, we're digging through, and, it was really great memories. The client loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was such a unique experience. And, I think a lot of that doesn't happen as much anymore because the hunt it's harder to find things. And a lot of those people don't exist as they did before.
I have a friend who she has this business that she has created and it's going to be coming out, and I can't get totally into it, but I will tell you that in her doing it, I have realized how much inventory is not out there. Like, you can only find it if you get up and go.
Yeah.
So I do think we have to maybe be vigilant about if we're okay with the safety issues getting up and going
Right.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should do like a group decorating trip.
I mean, that would be fun. Although I wonder if there would be any fighting over
There'd be a
items.
little bit of fighting. A couple fisticuffs.
Yeah.
We could get a container and share it and shoot
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
I think that this could be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to think about that. I think anybody who watches this needs to tell us if they think we should have a decorating shopping trip.
And then maybe someone should film it because it could be interesting.
Could be too interesting.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, I even find talking to the antique dealers, like they say they go on shopping trips and they're having a hard time finding things, right? And
yeah, I was in Parma and I ran into buyers of some of our places, including one that's in your building.
Yes, I know they went. Yeah.
I was like, thank God I got that table before they did.
Yeah, and they're like, oh. Yeah, they don't like to see us so much. Yeah, they're doing okay. They're fine.
Yeah, but that was an eye-opening trip for me. I was like, wow, I've just got to go to the source.
Yeah.
Because as much as you think you're seeing things out there, there's lots that you don't.
No. And that was the great thing about John Rosselli. You'd go in there and just say before an installation and take a truckload of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah, so, I feel he is a traitor. I love that man. He is a traitor for closing that shop. He quit on us. We need him back.
I know.
Do you travel a lot?
I
a lot again?
Haven't traveled a lot this year yet, but I do love to travel, and definitely have some things on my list. It's been a little busy, so finding the time, and my husband's been really busy too, so we need to figure that out. But the thing we love to do is we always go on a big trip over Christmas or Thanksgiving because it's quiet. The clients are quiet. Everyone,
because you can go somewhere and they don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So it's like those are our two favorite times to go places. So that's usually when we save up to do some traveling. But yeah.
I was meeting with some people yesterday and thinking like I might have to fly to Paris on miles, like there and back for the Givenchy sale. I don't
Yes,
know. I don't know if it's going to be a lifelong regret if I don't do it.
I know. I know.
They're already with the sale, with the, Majorelle being for sale. And, I never got to see, there's so many houses that don't exist anymore that I never got to see in person, or I didn't get to
Yeah.
see the office in person. And
I think you need to do this.
I feel like I
Yeah.
might have to. The idea of it is sort of exhausting, but we need that for inspiration, right?
We do. You have to go see all that stuff. You have to, I mean, Bunny loves to tell everyone in the office that, when she was, starting out in the business, she would go every weekend to the Saturday, to see the Sotheby's and the Christie's previews. And you have to see this stuff. You have to see it in person. It's
Yeah.
huge.
And it's a very low hanging fruit way to teach, to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when I think of how much I learned just shopping at Rosselli as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
kid being
Yeah.
an amorphous term, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I am so excited for you,
Thank
and
you.
I think we have to go on this trip together to decorate. I
I,
mean,
w-
not
I would love that.
to buy our accessories. I think this might, and yes, I do think there will be a little bit of violence, but we can leave the husbands at home.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um,
I totally agree.
I'm going to tempt you. I'm gonna
I want to go.
maybe not an overnight to the Givenchy sale, though. Would you?
Yeah. Why not?
All right. All right. I'm going to call you offline and tell you the details and see what you think.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
on this huge couple of weeks. It's like,
Oh.
for anybody who's seeing this, who's in New York or going to be in New York soon, it's 301
306 East 61st
306
on
East
the
61st.
5th floor.
And it is just beautiful, beautiful things. And now you, as you just said, you can get a few one-of-a-kind things while you're finding the major pieces to order.
Yes. 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 Come see us. We're so excited to give tours and show it off. So
Yeah. I am definitely, I'm 2 blocks away, so I will come
yeah.
and see you.
Yeah.
And everyone else will as well. All right.
Good.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Alexa. Have a good day.
Lots of love. Have a great
You
day.
too. Okay. Bye.